Okay, thank you. We are working on a piece in Chiddushei Chaim haLevi. He is arguably the greatest Rosh Hashiva of the last 100 years, plus a little bit. So we're going to work on one of his pieces. He works always in his book on the Rambam. So we're going to learn Rambam first. Through the Rambam, we'll go backwards to the Gemara, maybe forwards a bit. We'll see. Okay, with no further ado, the second piece in his book, in Hilchos Tefillah, he starts with the Rambam. That's how he starts every piece. That's the rule. Perik Daled Halacha Aleph. So he's quoting a Rambam in Hilchos Tefillah in the fourth perik. Heidvar Makvin is a Tefillah. There are 5 items that are Ma'akiv Tefillah you must have in order to daven properly. Avajagia Zmana, though it's the time for davening, etc. Ukavanis haLevi. That's what we're working on. This issue. Kavanis haLevi. Ketzad. How is that? Kol tefillah she'ena bekavana ena tefillah. If you daven without kavana, you haven't davened. V'mispala b'lo kavana, and if you did so, choser mispala b'kavana. Daven the second time because the first one doesn't count. Add kavana. Matzah daito mishubeshes. Person sometimes finds himself unable to concentrate, to focus. Libo tarid. He's worried about something. How's his stock portfolio doing? He just can't think about davening. Also, lispalo. He's forbidden to daven. He must wait until his mind is set for prayer. That's the end of this first quote of the Rambam. We see from the way the Rambam speaks that this halach of kavana applies to the entire davening. The entire davening, and the davening normally we mean is Shmona Esrei. The entire Shmona Esrei, kavana is ma'akev v'kosher. And this Rambam that we learned is difficult because of another Rambam. Mimasha Potzka Rambam Perik Yud Sham. That was the 4th perik. Now we look at the 10th perik. Zelashono. Mishus Spalav Lo Kivan Es Libo Yachser V'Spala B'Kavana. Someone who daven without kavana should daven again. V'im Kivan Es Libo B'Bracha Rishona Shuvin L'Tzarech. However, if he had kavana in the first bracha of Shemona Esrei, he need not repeat. That's what the Rambam says in Perik Yud, in the 10th perik. So says Reb Chaim, we have a contradiction in the Rambam. One place he paskins that you must have kavanah for the entire davening, and the other place he paskins no, you must have kavanah, but and only for the first bracha. So which is it? What's going on? The two Rambams don't seem to work together well. Venira. Now he will try to answer his question. Venira Lomer, the trey gavni kavanas yesh b'tefillah. There are 2 types of kavana in davening. Ha'achas kavana shal peirush hadvarim. One kavana is to know what you're saying, the words, to know what they mean. V'yasodhu din kavana. This is called a din kavana. We'll explain a little more what this means. V'shenis, and the second halacha, she'echavin shu omed b'tefillah fnei Hashem. The second is a kavana. The person should recognize, be thinking that he's standing in prayer in front of Hashem. A second kavana, 2 different kavanas. One kavana is to know what the words mean. The second is that he's standing in front of Hashem. So he explains further in Perik Daled. Perik Daled was the first Rambam that we quoted. Perik Daled explains what are you supposed to do. You're supposed to remove other thoughts from your heart and see yourself that you're standing in front of the Shekhinah. That's what prayer means in Perik Daled. Venira, and it seems kavana zuena midin kavana. It's not an extra halach of kavana. Rakshu mi etzem ma'isa tefillah. This is the mitzvah itself, the ma'isa tefillah. V'im little bit upon me. Ve'ino ro esad s'moshomi ifnei Hashem. So what happens if not? One is a person, he is bothered about his stock portfolio, and he does not see himself as standing in front of Hashem. Umispalo. He gets up and says the words anyway. Ein ze ma'isa tefillah. He hasn't davened. Rehu bichlal misasek. The ein bo din ma'isa. It's like a person who's misasek and doesn't have a din ma'isa. Misasek, let's explain what that means. Normally, misasek is used as a patur by a virus. He's using misasek to mean a person's not yotzi as mitzvah. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's first use it by a virus. What's misasek that exempts a person by a virus? So, Torah says you're not allowed to do work on Shabbos. The Mishnah says there's 39 avos malachis, and one of them is kotzer. So one of what you're not allowed to do on Shabbos is kotzer. You're not allowed to reap. Now, what happens if a person wants to eat a cucumber on Shabbos, which is fine. In fact, recommended for only Shabbos. Cucumbers are great. And he goes to pull a cucumber, and he forgets that it's growing in his house. It's actually in the planter, and it's growing. And so he's picking the cucumber. But he didn't have in mind to pick a cucumber. For some reason, he thought that this is one of the cucumbers they bought from the store, and it was no longer growing. That's what he thought. But he was wrong. That's not what the case was. And it was connected to the ground, and he picked the cucumber. So, though he did the Maisa of Kotzer, he has plucked something from where it was growing, since he did not intend to, because it wasn't his thought. He's not Chayav and Shabbos. He's not even Shogeg. Shogeg has to, he could forget that it's Shabbos. He could forget that it's also to pick cucumbers on Shabbos. But if he doesn't realize that he's picking a cucumber at all, then he's Misasik. He's not Chayav anything. He's not Mazid, for sure not. He's not even Shogeg. He doesn't bring a Korban Chatas. He's Misasik who's exempt. Claims Reb Chaim that so too over here, person who goes to daven and does not have in mind that he's standing in front of Hashem, he's lacking that kavanah, he's misasek. He's doing something, he's acting. Misasek has something to do with the word acting, but he's acting with no brain power. That's what he's doing. When a person acts with no brain power, so it's explicit in the Gemara Shabbos, he's exempt, no punishment at all, not even shogeg in Chil Shabbos. So too says Reb Chaim, misasek the other way. If you do an action with no brain power, and we'll discuss more what it means no brain power, but this standing the daven without a realization that he's speaking to Hashem, so in such a case it's misasik, and he doesn't have credit for the mitzvah saseh. He didn't do the mitzvah of davening, and he has to daven again because he didn't do it. He didn't daven. He said all 19 brachas. It's worthless because since he didn't have in mind that he's standing in front of Hashem, so he didn't daven. That's lacking in the ma'aseh tefillah. And that's called Misasik. Therefore, this kavanah is makiv in the entire Shemona Esrei. The awareness that when staying there is a requirement in all 19 brachas of Shemona Esrei. Each one has this requirement. Because where it's called Misasik, so then it's like he didn't daven at all. Certainly, if a person leaves out one of the 19 brachas of Shemona Esrei, he hasn't said that bracha because he left it out. So if a person stands up and says the words of the bracha, all of them, correctly, pronouncing it great, and he's got the shva correct, what is shva nach and shva na, all the diktuk. But what he's lacking that he doesn't realize he's standing in front of Hashem, so it doesn't count at all, says Reb Chaim, and he owes the whole Shemona Esrei, because he didn't daven that bracha of Shemona Esrei. Kilo dileg milas eil. It's like he skipped these words. Below vadai delini etzem tefillah kol yutes brachas makfin. Certainly to be yotzei davening, you have to say the whole Shemona Esrei. If you have not said the whole Shemona Esrei, you're not yotzei Shemona Esrei because he didn't say it at all. But a person who does realize that he's davening to Hashem, but he doesn't know the words what they mean. This is an extra din kavanah. V'zehu da'eri b'sugi brachas daf la'amadal. There's why sorry shechavin libo b'chol brachas v'imena yochol chavin es libo b'kul yechavin ba'achas mehen. Amar Reb Chia Amar Reb Safra mishum chad debei Rebbe ba'avis. When is it true that there's a minimum of just kavanah for one? That's to know perish milim. Person gets to Valam Shinin, he's towards the end of davening, and you ask him, what does that word mean? Vilamashinin. What's the shorish? Is Vav shorish there? Is the Lamed shorish there? What does that word mean? He says, I really don't think about it. I'm already tired when I get there. And I just want to say, hey, Hashem, I need help. Just help me out. And I really want to call it a day. So that person, in fact, is Yotzei Tefillah. He does not know what Vilamal Shinin means at all. He tells you, I don't know what that means. And yet, he's Yotzei Tefillah because Kavana of Perishim Mililim to know what the words mean, he doesn't know. And it's not Ma'akev. So since it's not Ma'akev, he's Yotzei Tefillah because even though he doesn't know that at all. That's what the Gemara is talking about. And in Kavanah, there's another two dinim. One is a din kavanah of that a person has to have in mind to do a mitzvah, and that's a regular din kavanah by all the mitzvahs because we hold of the principle. It's really discussed by Amorai mitzvah shrichas kavanah. Really, to say this, we have to do a further discussion. Mitzvah shrichas kavanah, There's what to talk about in Shulchan Aruch. He mentions two opinions. And there's what to talk about the Rambam. The Rambam seems to contradict himself on the issue of Mitzvah Kavana between what he says concerning matzah and what he says concerning Tekiah Shofar. I would think that they should be the same, and either you need Kavana for both to be able to the mitzvah, or you don't need Kavana for both to be able to the mitzvah. The Rambam seems to not say that. That's another discussion for a different time. But for our purposes, Reb Chaim takes on, certainly according to that sod in Amoraim, that sod that does exist in the Rambam, whether it's a conclusion that we'd have to know, and that sod in Shulchan Aruch does exist, whether it's a conclusion we'd have to talk about further. But that sod, that mitzvah is kavana. So Shemana Esrei, davening is a mitzvah. So since it's a mitzvah, it has the rules of mitzvah is kavana. So one kavana you're going to have is that you're doing a mitzvah is kavana. That's one. So he says we're holding mitzvah strichas kavana. If so, if to be yotzi a mitzvah, you have to have in mind you're doing mitzvahs, you're going to have in mind for all 19 brachas. Now, all 19 brachas, we have to say something here. That the Rambam says in the beginning of Tefillah, that the Rambam holds as a mitzvah to daven every day. That's what the Rambam says. And he says, Din Torah, there's no nusach at Tefillah. The Moshe Rabbeinu did not daven. He didn't daven nusach Ashkenaz, he didn't daven nusach Sfarad, he didn't daven Nusach Edot Mizrach. Why? Because there was no Nusach Tefillah then. Nusach Tefillah starts with Anshe Knesset Gedola post Bayis Sheni. Till then, all the famous Yidden, Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen and Shmuel, they never took a siddur like ours. They didn't have a siddur, not even Baal Peh. They had that a person would think and would pray from his heart and be his own poet. And he'd make his own Nusach. There was no Nusach that was fixed. Fixed nusach starts late, post by a sheni with Anshe Knesset Gedola. So, therefore, when we say 19 brachas in a mitzvah, 19 brachas is not more than a mitzvah derabanan. Certainly, there's no Torah requirement to say all 19 brachas. With that the 19 brachas per se is a requirement derabanan. But we're going to talk about this more. We'll see. Reb Chaim will be explicit on this as we continue. But when a person does daven the 19 brachas, the mitzvah derabanan, for sure, he's mekayim the mitzvah min Torah. The Rambam says there is a mitzvah min Torah to daven every day, and you do not need a nusach. Now, a person uses a nusach, it's not worse. So if he does whatever the requirements are for davening, including a nusach for all 19 brachas, so he's doing the mitzvah for all 19 brachas. Now, what if he forgets, let's say mitzvah strichas kavana, and he forgets his kavana on one of the brachas? But the Moshinim, he forgets it's a mitzvah to say that. Why'd you say that? I don't know. I just said V'lamoshinim. I don't know why I said it. So if he didn't have kavana, so the mitzvah strichas kavana is ma'akev, what to talk about? But that's how he wants to say. Certainly there should be no difference. It's all a mitzvah. Came to din anoi b'chol mitzvah. The kashar mitzvah, whole mitzvah kula stricha kavana. Any mitzvah you need to do the mitzvah, you need the kavana for the whole mitzvah, like by tkiyas we mentioned. However many is the number of tkiyas you got to hear, you have to have kavana for all those tkiyas. Below mahani kavana mixasa. You don't have a little bit of kavana is enough. You need kavana for the whole thing. Whatever is called your tefillah needs entirely kavana. Zelusha pasuk Rambam came. This is what the Rambam is saying. The hadavim shiyada shu omei b'tefillah. Person has to know that he's standing in front of Hashem. Ma'akev b'chol tefillah kula. This is a requirement for the whole tefillah, all 19 brachas. Why we trade timing? For two reasons. One, because if he doesn't have this kavanah, he's misasek. He's just saying the words. He's not really davening. He's like the guy with the cucumber on Shabbos. He picked the cucumber, but he didn't mean to, so it doesn't count against him. So too, if a person stands up to say the words and has no intention that he's speaking to Hashem, so then it doesn't count for him. The misasek takes away his mitzvah. And also the Rambam's telling us you need kavana for the whole Shemana Esrei. For the regular halacha, that mitzvahs need kavana. The tarvayu ma'akvid kol tefillah. These exist for the entire Shemana Esrei. Kamova kol mitzvahs like every mitzvah. Rak kavana is perish hadvarim. The only thing is the kavana to know what the words mean. Do din mesuyim rak tefillah. This is only a tefillah. Is that what the kaimel adolam for rak be bracha rishon? That's where he hold. That's enough. The first bracha, the others. Kamuver besugya and brachas dav lamadal. Vine continues Reb Chaim. Perik Daled Gabe Kavanas Sheyodei Shu Mispalo because of a Rambam Kavanas Leiv Ketzad Kol Tefillah Shena Kavana Eina Tefillah. The Rambam says here the first time in Perik Daled, any time that you have a tefillah without kavana, it's not a tefillah. It's nothing. Beam mispal below kavana, choser mispal bekavana. If you did so, daven a second time bekavana. We're gonna have to talk about that second time in the Rambam. Matzah daita mishubesses of legal Torah also lo lispalo. Achetisiyashiv daita. A person having a hard time can't think about davening, so he's not allowed to daven. Perik Yud Sham, the second Rambam. Lo kasav Rambam rak had gavna. Mishu spal v'lo kivein libo yaksu spal bekavana. There, the Rambam repeats the halacha that a person who daven without kavana must daven with kavana. Menech trei bavi. But the other two requirements that he says in Perek Dalet, sheyamod daitu im yochel lechavein, that you should check first whether he's able to, otherwise it's also. V'chein had below kivein havi kaloi spalel, and then to say also the second time that if he were to daven without kavana, it's as if he hasn't davened at all. Hishmi. The Rambam only says that the first time; it doesn't say that the second time. Vinira, so it seems, the Dasa Rambam is shnei machlekos hein betfila. There's two different compartments. Zosa kavana shu mechavin u'makir shu omei betfila zahavi mishum din mesasik. The first halacha to know that you're standing in front of Hashem, that's the actual requirement of tefillah itself. And if you don't do that, so you're called mesasik. You're picking the cucumber that you're potter on Shabbos. It's nothing because you have zero mind for what you're doing. B'shum din mitzvah kavana, or also because of the regular halacha, mitzvahs needs kavana. This is why everywhere in the Torah. The kavana is peirush midas lechud, but to know what the words mean is a different halacha. And there's two types of obligations in tefillah. Person has to know he's doing the mitzvah of davening when he's davening. And he also has to know what the words mean. That's a requirement of tefillah itself. To get them both, you don't have to get them both necessarily. You're yotzei. If you're called misasek, you haven't done anything. Just like you're totally exempt on Shabbos for picking that cucumber because you thought it was already picked, and you thought you're just lifting it, and you have no punishment at all, no korban chatos, nothing. So too, if you don't have kavanah that you're davening to Hashem, you didn't do the mitzvah at all. You have nothing. That's what the Rambam says. You didn't daven. And then the Rambam says, check yourself. You're not able to do this. Don't daven at all. But the other halacha, to know what the words mean, since it's a special halacha only for davening. So a person doesn't have this, he still has an obligation to daven. You're able to daven, so stand up and daven. You say, wait, but I didn't look it up yet in the English Siddur. I still don't know what it means, v'lo malshinim. That's too bad. But now it's time to daven. You really should have it. Maybe you could daven with the Siddur and get it while you're there. But it's not ma'akev, so you don't have to check first, and you don't have to stop for davening because of this. This ba'din tefillah, you'll have, it'll be called a shmonaser, even if you don't know what that word means. V'im shi'lios kain gam below taima. Wants to take it up further. That's a Rambam. The Chovas Tevila Mitzvah Sahu Midivrei Torah. The Rambam holds, like we said, that davening is a mitzvah min Torah. Va'afila Chokim, and even of those that argue al Rambam, those that argue is the Ramban. The Ramban argues and says the only time you have an obligation to daven in Torah is a tzora, when you're in a tough spot. Then you have an obligation to daven in Torah. But every day you don't have to daven in Torah according to the Ramban. Okay. Says Reb Chaim, even according to the Ramban, you don't have an obligation. But certainly, even according to the Ramban, when you choose to daven every day, because the Rambam told you to, whenever you are doing a mitzvah min Torah of davening, you might not be obligated today to daven according to Ramban, but if you choose to daven, you are doing the mitzvah of davening, similar to other mitzvahs that you don't have to do now. If you choose to do it now, you're doing the mitzvah. Stalker, you don't have to do it now, but if you choose to do it now, you're doing the mitzvah. It's filling. You don't have to do it now, but if you choose to do it now, you're doing the mitzvah. So too, according to Ramban, you don't have to daven even every day, but if you choose to, you're doing the mitzvah min Torah. Being came misasik avidin deraisa b'chol Torah kula. The din misasik exists throughout the Torah. Misasik ain't no klum midvar Torah. Misasik is a nothing, always. By Shabbos, it means it's a nothing, you're not punishable. And by Tefillah, it means it's a nothing, and then daven. The regular din mitzvah kavana is all over it for the whole Torah. Havegankin din ikuv shalom midvar Torah. Vein the tefillah midvar Torah means you're not yotzei because you didn't do that. So you didn't do the mitzvah. Al kain no yispal. That's why the first Rambam says you didn't daven. Mashinkin din kavana shal perish dvarim hamasiyim rak tefillah. But the second one of not having in mind what the words mean, vegan tefillah atzmein rak v'tchons chamen. The tefillah itself is derabanan, meaning the nusach of Shemona Esrei. Being came shopper nuchal lomer came the deraisa mia have tefillah. So deraisa you yotzei tefillah even if you don't have the parish of the milim. Akin yispal gam below yuchal lechavim so. So therefore, daven if you're not going to have in mind this. Vach in yochal lechavim rak shispala below kavana yachsav yispala. But if you are able to have kavana, so then since you down without any kavana parish milim, so go back. That's a din derabanan. Okay, no Rambam sheyachsav yispala below yoser. That's what the Rambam says the second time. He repeats yachsav yispala, but doesn't say check first like he does the first time, and he doesn't say that was the one Allah he didn't say, and he doesn't say what else. What were the two things that he didn't say? What were you? Two things. He says check. Let's look at the Rambam itself. It's right here. He says check. And it's also until you do this. Said two things. He says it's not a tefillah, and he says choser mispalel. And he didn't say two things the second time. He didn't say it's not a tefillah. He only said choser mispalel. So when is it not a tefillah? It's only not a tefillah if you don't have in mind that you're standing in front of Hashem. But both times is a halacha of choser mispalel. Once for the din Torah because he didn't do anything the first time. That's the first time in Perek Daled. And the other time is Choser Mispalel. That's in Perek Yud. And that he says is a din of Kavana Derabanan to have in mind what the words mean. And there it's enough to be Yotze the first time if you have in mind in others. And if not, daven a second time. But not that it's not a tefillah. Really, it is a tefillah. But it's lacking. So you have a requirement Derabanan to go back and daven again. Adkan till here is the Vorder of Chaim. He says there's two dinim in tefillah. There is a din of tefillah, know that you're standing in front of Hashem, and he comes and says it couples with the regular halacha of mitzvah srigas kavani. You have to have in mind you're doing a mitzvah. So you have to mind two things: you're doing a mitzvah, and also you're standing in front of Hashem. And this is ma'akev. And this, if you can't do it, don't daven at all. And this, if you leave it out, you didn't daven. You did nothing at all. And in Perek Yud, he says something totally different. He says, have in mind what the words mean. In Perek Yud, he doesn't say, clear your mind of everything. He's not talking about that. He's talking about different halacha. He's talking about Perish of Milim. And there he says, you're supposed to have Perish of Milim. You're supposed to have it in all the Shemona Esrei, minimally in Ovis. And if you left it out, even in Ovis, you have to daven again. But that's only a din d'Rabbanan, you have to daven again. It's not the same thing. It's an extra din kavanah. It comes out there's three kavanas. And three kavanas a person is supposed to have when he davens Shemona Esrei. One, that he's standing in front of Hashem. If he lacks his kavanah, he didn't do mitzvah at all. Two, that he's doing a mitzvah of davening. This, to know that he's doing a mitzvah, is mitzvah tzrigas kavanah, as much as it applies mitzvah tzrigas kavanah. So he needs this to be yotzei, the mitzvah of davening. And three, there's another kavanah. He should have in mind for all 19 brachas, mitzvahs, tzrigas, he should have in mind perish amilim. He should have in mind, know what the words mean. You're davening already, know what the words mean. Look it up in the siddur. Look up what it means, vilam malshinim. Find out what the shorish is there. Find out what that word means. What are you talking about? You're supposed to know that for all the Shemona Esrei. And if you don't know that for any Shemona Esrei, repeat Shemona Esrei because you're lacking important halacha in Shemona Esrei. But you still daven the first time. You still have to repeat midrabanan. The first time you daven in Torah. And that second halacha, Pirush Milim, b'diavad yotziv, just knowing what all this means. Then you don't have the halacha to repeat because you had in mind kavanah in Ovis. And so now he made a clear distinction to what the Rambam said in Perek Daled. Now the Rambam said in Perek Yud, a beautiful word from Chaim, dividing and conquering. Kavanah, which seems like one thing when we start, really divides into three, which are really two deraisa. Have in mind that you're standing in front of Hashem. Have in mind you're doing a mitzvah. And the third, Pirush Milim, which is different. And he's done a very elegant job of separating, dividing, and conquering. And now we understand Perek Daled is not like Perek Yud. Just to flesh things out further a little bit, would like to note that in Perek Daled, the Lechem Mishnah asks, he says, where is the halachas from Perek Yud? Why does the Rambam say here that an ovis is enough? I don't understand. That's what he says. Sorry, I don't understand the Rambam. And the Lechem Mishnah wants to put both together, sees the Rambam's not doing that, and he says he doesn't understand. The Lechem Mishnah did not come to Reb Chaim Shiur. He didn't come, so he doesn't know the answer. So we're answering a Lechem Mishnah. I don't know why Reb Chaim chose not to quote that Lechem Mishnah. Often he quotes Lechem Mishnah, and here he's answered the question of Lechem Mishnah. We find others that he's also that are bothered by this issue. They phrase it somewhat differently. One of the Perushim we get a Frankel Rambam. One of the Perushim we get is Rabbeinu Manoach. Rabbeinu Manoach is an early commentator, pretty early commentator on the Rambam, following the Rambam. He has his own comments, and he's bothered by why are you Yotze with a Kavanah in Ovis by itself. And he seems also to be linking Perek Daled and Perek Yud as well, like the Lechem Mishnah, not like Reb Chaim. And he says that when a person has in mind kavanah by the first bracha, so he's really yotze that bit of Shemona Esrei by the first bracha, because that's the main idea. Hashem's the boss. You said Baruch Atah Hashem, knowing what you're saying. Baruch means you're Baruch. Ata means you, Hashem. You know who you're talking to. So then, when you've done that, you've done the Ikar Tefillah. So the rest doesn't matter as much. Sounds like he's learning not like Reb Chaim. Sounds like Rabbeinu Manoach also in Perek Yud. The answer why it's just of is learning not like Reb Chaim, combining Perek Daled and Perek Yud, the same style that the Lechem Mishnah goes, and therefore he's bothered. Why is it good enough? He didn't ask exactly Lechem Mishnah's kasha. Why didn't say it before? So why is it good enough? Obviously, he says the answer that he says. Seems like also he's not learning like Reb Chaim. Chaim's not like Rabbeinu Manoach. Sometimes by noticing the differences helps us understand a little bit better. Nowadays, when you go to buy a Reb Chaim, you can get the old style Reb Chaim, like it was first printed, or you can get a new Reb Chaim with in the back, you get Chazon Ish. It's called Gilyonus Chazon Ish. Chazon Ish personally didn't publish anything in his lifetime. He had a nephew. His nephew helped him write and publish. So he had things published in his lifetime. It was almost all the books, Chazon Ish, they're all written really by the nephew. The nephew came to Shiur. The nephew was a big Talmud, and the nephew published. So too, Gilyonus Chazon Ish on the Reb Chaim means Reb Chaim, the book, when it came out, the Chazon Ish bought it, and he read it, and he made comments in the margin. And he didn't publish because he didn't publish anything. He waits for the rest of the family to take over for him. That's not what he does. So after he was Nifta Chazon Ish, they put together the Gilyonus and they published in the back so we can have the Chazon Ish's comments on Reb Chaim. So you can buy it. It's very readily available. Gilyonus Chazon Ish on the Reb Chaim. And these Gilyonus, it does not appear in the set Chazon Ish. You can buy the whole big set, multi-volume set Chazon Ish. You don't get this. It's only published with the Reb Chaim, and only if you buy the Reb Chaim that's with Gilyonus Chazon Ish. Doesn't know what it is. But I want to look at it. Gilyonus, that's Reb Chaim they have in the house. Could be there's other Reb Chaims in the house. That's the one I have. That's the one I bought. Even though in Bris they don't like it because it's not the way Reb Chaim published it, or not the way the sons published it posthumously for Reb Chaim. But I like it. Let's hear what the Chazon Ish says. So the Chazon Ish here on this, he says, he makes a comment. Zero davar shi esher. What the Reb Chaim is saying is physically impossible. The Rishal shemis ashesh v'libo mehaher b'davar min advarim vadi yesh kan netzach adas mikavanesh goes over Rambam. Then he goes to the idea of stumble Shema, which I don't want to talk about, and he talks about this. So he says that Kol Adam ha'omed lispal lo shayach bo misasik. This, our whole Reb Chaim was based on the Torah. He wanted to say that possible that person stands up and prays, and it's called misasik. It's like the cucumbers by Shabbos, because he didn't have in mind that he's standing in front of Hashem, and then it doesn't count at all. And that's the difference of the language between the two Rambams, the two places, Perek Daled versus Perek Yud. So he says no. Chazon Ish says, I don't buy in. The Chazon Ish is kofar. He says it's not true the whole Reb Chaim. Why? He says can't be. Why? Where'd it go? Kol adam omen lispal lo shayach bo misasik. Can't be misasik. Del olam yesh bo yediyah keha shut tefillah lefonav yisbarach. Because every person has in a mind somewhere in the back of his head that he's davening in front of Hashem. It's not shayach. The guy stood up where? Where did he stand up? In shul to daven, or nowadays outside, or in his porch, or in his house to daven. So if you person every year who stands up to daven, he's not misasik. He's not grabbing that cucumber on Shabbos thinking, that guy, your cucumbers are not always attached to the ground. Cucumbers you get from the store are not attached to the ground. In your house, you thought you picked it Erev Shabbos. It's next to it, you pull. Hey, it was attached to the ground. That could be misasik by Shabbos. There is misasik in the Torah. But by tefillah says Chazon Ish, it's not shayach. Because every person he stands up for what? For davening. How tired is he? He still made it to daven. He's standing up to daven. That little bit of awareness that he has, that he's davening, that little bit, that the definition of the davening is he's standing in front of Hashem, that little bit, that's a raya that he's doing Ma'aseh Tefillah. He's not misasik. So that's not what the Rambam's talking about. So he blows a major hole in the whole Reb Chaim, saying misasik Tefillah is not shaykh, so you can't say that's what the Rambam's talking about. He's rejecting the Reb Chaim because it's this beautiful understanding of what a yid is, says the Chazon Ish. Every single time a yid gets up to daven, he has in mind that he is davening to Hashem. A beautiful understanding. Obviously, Reb Chaim argues with him on this point. Chaim met people. Chaim interviewed the guy. He said, "Hey, you, did you have in mind you're standing in front of it?" The guy said, "Well, I'm sorry, I did it." He says, "You better daven for a second time." And Chazon says, "There's no such guy. Let me interview him." And when the Chazon Ish interview says, "Rabbi, stand up." So what did you do? Did you know you were davening? Where did you think you were? Are you watching a ball game? Well, I wasn't watching the ball game. I might have been thinking a little bit about the ball game, but if you stood up to daven, it's sufficient. You had in mind that you're standing in front of Hashem. You're not called misasik. Fundamental machlokes between Reb Chaim and the Chazon Ish. Reb Chaim holds, and he explains the Rambam that way. It's possible misasik by tefillah. A person has no awareness is standing in front of Hashem, and beautiful, almost Chiddushei idea from the Chazon Ish. It's not possible that a person is totally misasik and has no awareness that he's standing in front of Hashem. Since it's not possible, says the Chazon Ish, so it's not possible, that's what the Rambam is talking about. Therefore, he rejects the Rambam in the way Reb Chaim was explaining the Rambam. And he says the one Rambam is just an introduction to the other Rambam. And the Rambam, of course, holds, because it's always true, that you need to be only lifnei Hashem when you do davening. And everybody has them and got that. And what's the Rambam saying? Perish Milim. And you're supposed to know Perish Milim, it's Makiv and Avis. It's not, and if you did it in Avis, you don't have to daven again. If you didn't do an Avis, you do have to daven again. And why is the Rambam say things Perik Dal? He doesn't say in Perik Yud. That's the derech of the Rambam. He starts off and tells you the principle in general. He gives you details, some more details in the beginning, some more details in the end. And it's one Rambam, it's not two Rambams, not two halachas. So we have two understandings of our Rambams. We have the Chaim understanding, beautiful understanding to make two separate Rambams, two separate things. We have the Chazon Ish with his yid who always has in mind, and therefore we have one understanding of the Rambam that's only talking about Perish and Milim. And in fact, the Chazon Ish way goes better with the Lechem Mishnah, which we said wasn't like Reb Chaim, and the Rabbeinu Manoach, which also is mashma not like Reb Chaim. And they both could be learning like the Chazon Ish. So we have two approaches. Reb Chaim approach to learn the Rambam, beautiful Rambam, or a simpler approach, the Chazon Ish, and some others, to put everything together. And really, there's not two Rambams, there's only one Rambam. But in fundamentals, in the basics of davening, everybody agrees. Fundamentally, you must have in mind that you're standing in front of Hashem. That's a requirement for tefillah. And they're separate, that you're supposed to have in mind Perish Milim. That's another din kavana. You should have in mind when you're saying the words what they mean. And also the Reb Chaim adds, and this is Shiur's kavana, which is another discussion which we touched on here. And of course, the Chazon Ish agrees with it. It's based in Shas, other places, and how exactly it works all the time. Perhaps we could talk about more, but really there. And so in the fundamentals, everybody really agrees. And there's a different approach how to read the Rambam. There's the Reb Chaim approach, a sophisticated two Rambams, two different Dinei Kavana. There's a Chazon Ish approach, which has others that agree with him and making it all into one Rambam, and that's two different ideas of Kavana. And the fundamentals, everybody agrees.
Yasher Koyach. Thank you so much. Wow. All right. I'm recording this, and I'm going to try to have this transferred into a YouTube. Okay.
Okay, great.
And the previous one also as well. Okay.
Oh, it worked in the end? You had it?
I've got the second one last week's in a video format.
Fine.
It's very
Okay.
large, okay, but I guess according to Mrs. Rappaport, we can convert that to a YouTube as well somehow.
Excellent.
Technical advisor.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so we'll see what the rules are, what's happening next week, if we continue at home. If we're still at home, we'll try again, learn something. And if not, so we'll see.
Yep, we'll see.
Very good.
Thank you, Rav. Yeshikoyach.
Thank you. Yeshikoya. Beautiful shit.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, really good. Thank
Give me
you.
a lot of hope.
Kol tov.
I was getting worried with that Chaim, you know.
Right.
Yeah.